Hello there, this is Lost, and today we're doing something a little different than usual. Early in 2024, I met this YouTuber known as Zerex. In a nutshell, he does videos on cartoons, movies, and everything in between. And while I generally like them and I agree with his opinions, there are also times where I just don't. His video on why the Disney Renaissance was both a good and bad thing can be easily dumbed down as, these movies are amazing, but I wish they weren't made because of Disney adults and the live action remakes. I'm not exaggerating, this is what he says in the video. How do Disney adults make Aladdin or The Lion King, movies that shouldn't have been made? Then there's his video on the live action remakes where he claims that Disney doesn't care about animation and never has when... No, Walt Disney himself did a lot for animation. Snow White is the whole freaking reason why we have animated movies in the first place. And the movies released in the 40s onwards mostly are stories for all ages. That doesn't necessarily mean that adults can enjoy them. Some definitely feel more like children movies rather than family movies, but Disney and his stuff clearly weren't just making mindless entertainment for children. Also, claiming that Walt Disney never cared about animation is kinda disrespectful. Whatever you do, never put words in the mouth of a dead person. Saying Stephen Hillenburg didn't want SpongeBob spin-offs is disrespectful, but this isn't. How can you say he didn't care? Because the signs seem to point to the other way. So why don't you back up your claim? Oh wait, you can't, I just have to believe it? Of course. And now he's made a video about how he refuses to watch Bluey. And it's not pretty. Now, I'm all for people not liking a piece of media like. I could care less if someone I don't know doesn't feel the same way I do on a cartoon, movie, album, whatever. It's like the previous two videos, that these points are questionable at best and asinine at worst. Let's see why, shall we?
Some people have even said that, they cried watching Bluey. There was an episode that came out recently, The Sign. I could not tell you what the hell this episode's about, but apparently it's really emotional. Apparently people cried watching this. Grown adult men cried watching this episode of a show meant for 3-year-olds. And to be honest, I don't really have much of a problem with that.
Not a point of criticism necessarily, but you gotta love how Zerex claims to be okay with adults watching this show and enjoying it. Then he says that, no, it's a problem.
It's just a disgusting idea to me that, grown men are crying at this show for 3-year-olds, There's just something very depressing to me. The idea that, there's a man in, his late 20s, early 30s that's just absolutely obsessed with Bluey. He watches the show 24/7. He buys all of the merchandise he comes across, DVDs of the show, toys, stuff like that. He just obsesses over Bluey. He devotes his entire personality to this show that's meant to be for 4-year-olds. I just don't feel comfortable with the idea of adults making a big deal about this show, just watching it all along without any sort of kids, without any sort of Gen Alpha kids watching it. But it's just the fact that adults are watching this show while the actual target audience is watching complete garbage. It turns me away from ever watching this show.
Oh, it's very depressing that a man likes a kids show. No, I'm fine with that. No, it creeps me out. No, it's not a problem. No, it is a problem. No, it doesn't bother me. That's not a problem. Pick one, man. Either you're fine with adults watching Bluey or you aren't. It's very clear that Zerex videos are either unscripted or don't have revised scripts, so he repeats himself very often. Consider checking your scripts a few times, or make scripts for whatever video you're making if you aren't already, before recording your voice. Not saying this to jump at you, just some advice that will make your videos better. Also, it's weird to me that he keeps claiming that adult men are watching Bluey. Is this unintentional sexism? Women watch Bluey too, It's not like Bluey has just male fans. This isn't like Barbie where the target audience is girls, but a few boys engage in this franchise. Not something that bothers me, it's just weird.
Let me just give you one simple word. brain rot. Now, over the last year or so, I'd say maybe it was 2022 when it started,
I'd say that brain rot didn't become a thing until last year, but I could be wrong. I'll skip his explanation of brain rot content because I agree with his views on this content. It sucks and the world would be better without it.
On a side note, The Amazing Digital Circus is another show that I refuse to watch because of the Elsa Gate brain rot crap that it has. I know that it's not the creator's fault that that stuff exists, but still, I cannot look at this character without thinking of like Lanky Box, Poppy Playtime, Roblox bullcrap. I'm sorry. The big three of indie animation, everyone. The only three indie cartoons that people actually talk about. A show that's complete garbage, a show that's mediocre, and a show that's probably good, but I refuse to watch it because of the Elsa Gate stuff it has unintentionally brought to this world. Yeah, I'm starting to doubt that indie animation is really all that better than corporate animation. Remind me again why people hate Velma, please.
Ooh boy, there's a lot to unpack here. First things first, why are you using Elsagate content as a justification for why you're not watching this show? It's completely fine if you don't like the amazing digital circus or aren't interested in it. But blaming content that was made by people who only care about money and manipulating children into watching messed up stuff is a little bit much in my opinion. Especially when the staff behind this show has been vocal about how they hate this type of content. Next, why are you singling out these three shows? Murder Drones exists too, you know? I haven't watched the show, but I've heard it's pretty good and I haven't seen much brain rot content featuring its characters. So that's cool. There's also the Old School Homestar Runner and many other shows that I don't know all that much about, but people still talk about. And there's a lot of reasons why Velma is hated that will make this video way longer than I intend to, but one of the biggest flaws is its lack of sincerity. We can mock Hazbin Hotel for its obsession with swearing, but deep down there is something genuine in here. I'll take that any day over something that's not, or at least doesn't feel genuine. Velma could be a passion project too, but unfortunately the series doesn't reflect that. I get really angry when people tell me that, oh, this not genuine thing isn't any better than a genuine thing, because I've been there before. Every time I express my disdain for Shocket and SSGV5 now, the response I get usually, other than being a killjoy, is that it's better than modern SNG4. Yes, this web series that makes shameless jokes 24/7, jokes that aren't just funny or repetitive, but mock genuinity even in its better episodes, is somehow worse than the show that's genuine. I'm sorry, but I'll have to disagree. I'd rather watch the anime arc 1 million times over watching one more episode of SSGV5 after Kirby's Dream Land the Third. The same applies to Velma and Hazbin Hotel. Does the genuinity make Hazbin Hotel a good show? No. But at least I'm watching something that doesn't belittle me, something that doesn't insult me for caring. Even if it's better, what makes me want to watch it, without comparing it to something that's worse? Relatively speaking, obviously.
Whatever great, important, wholesome messages Bluey has, Gen Alpha is not learning them. They're instead learning new stupid catchphrases and whatever. Ohio Skibbity Riz, Mewing Sigma, stuff like that.
While it is a depressing thought, how can you be sure that most Gen Alpha kids are like that? You can't really verify that. Now, I can't verify that for myself either. My only experience watching a Gen Alpha kid was when I went to a barber shop and watched one watching YouTube on an iPad, but even then, he was watching normal content. Some gameplay of Minecraft that was slow and laid back, like the stuff we used to see when we were kids. There's also this comment some person 47 made on a video, where they stated that those that are part of Gen Alpha still watch movies and cartoons. Do they watch brain rot? Absolutely, but they still go to the theater and watch movies. Again, like we do. And many of the parents they talk about are aware of Cocomelon and Elsagate and how bad they are. So I don't agree with this propaganda that Gen Alpha kids only care about brain rot. They don't care about cartoons, they don't care about animation because... No?
It's not even just Bluey. I just get like disturbed the idea that like adult fans of shows made for like very little kids, you know? Blue's Clues, Thomas the Tank Engine, you know? The fact that the fucking Thomas the Tank Engine of all things has this like mostly adult fan base creeps me out. I'm sorry. That's weird to me. I brought this up before in another video, but I think like they canceled Thomas or something like the original show and they replaced it with like this new 2D version, and a lot of Thomas fans hate this show for some reason. And it's like, it's fucking Thomas the Tank Engine. It's not that serious. I'm willing to bet that this show isn't bad. People hate it because it's not what I grew up with. Therefore, it's bad. The thing that I grew up with is good, and the thing that I didn't grow up with is bad, even if it's the same damn thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just had to regain my composure for a few seconds. I'm a very calm individual usually, so I'm used to tomfoolery like this, but sometimes it's hard to remain collected. Anyway, what kind of point was that? How is Thomas this thing for toddlers that adults shouldn't watch? The reason the fanbase is full of adults is because they show a lot of themes that were for all their audiences. Sure, it's targeted to preschoolers, but that doesn't mean it's just for them. SpongeBob is a kids show, and yet, most fans are teens and adults because the show has elements for all their audiences. Oh, and also the show was a very down-to-earth depiction of trains. That's why a lot of train fans are into this show and got upset at the reboot. When you take a show that's meant to represent how real engines go, haha, and remove that factor, it doesn't work. It might not be a problem for you, but for me it is. Why does the fact that adults watch Thomas creep you out anyway? Because it's about a sentient talking train? But so is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. The movie is about a sentient talking cat, and yet you've publicly called it a masterpiece. By your logic, that thing is also just for babies. Never mind the realistic depiction of a panic attack. Never mind that it can be enjoyed by anyone. Never mind that it's one of the best movies in a long time. No, it doesn't matter. It's just a stupid kids movie, and that's really all there is to it. I gotta agree with you on the Thomas reboot though. People clearly hate it because it's different, and there's nothing that makes it an inferior product. Wake up, Thomas fans, you're delusional. Here's a list of what makes the Thomas reboot inferior. Oh wait, I forgot! Zerex is speaking with his heart rather than his brain. I honestly cannot fathom the holier-than-thou personality this guy has. There are legitimate reasons as to why this reboot is worse than the original, and yet he brushes those points off with the "you just need change" argument. Again, I respect your opinions, but it's clear that the Thomas reboot isn't hated because it's different, but because it has its problems that deserve to be criticized. Sounds like you have a bias against Thomas, Zerex. Do you have a traumatic episode related to this franchise? Is there something you want to share with us, man?
The general point I'm trying to make is I refuse to ever watch Bluey because I don't want to be part of the problem.
But you're not being part of the problem by watching Bluey. You're part of the problem if you promote or make brain content about it. Watching Bluey is fine, that's not engaging with brain rot. If brain rot and Elsage stuff bothers you, just ignore it, or report it. That shouldn't affect how you see the show. It didn't kill your grandma, the fan content did, okay?
I understand that brain rot is not necessarily a new recent thing and that it's actually much older than we actually think it is. There are a lot of things from the late 2000s and early 2010s era internet that we grew up with when we were kids that could retrospectively be considered brain rot, but it was nowhere near as bad as it is now in 2024. The difference between Gen Z brain rot and Gen Alpha brain rot is that yes, we did watch brain rot when we were kids. Us Gen Z people, we watched brain rot, but we also watched normal cartoons and normal animated movies like normal kids should.
Refer to my previous point when you claimed that Gen Alpha isn't learning messages from Bluey. We can't be sure whether it's the majority or the loud minority watching mostly or only brain rot. There's a higher chance that Gen Alpha kids still watch normal stuff even if they watch brain rot on their iPads than you think, Zerex. It's not as doomed as others make you think it is. Do your own research, come to your own conclusion. Don't just parrot whatever your favorite content creator said. Also, I don't consider most of your examples brain rot. Godfilth and that weird Jimmy Neutron video are clearly parodies. It'd be like saying that SMG4 is brain rot because it's weird or has stupid humor. Level Up is brain rot. SSGB5 is brain rot. Palm Tree is brain rot. Suddenly we use this word so much that it's brain rot to call something brain rot. Obviously stuff like Fred and Baby the Annoying Orange is brain rot, I'm not in denial, but not everything weird we consume is or was brain rot. In conclusion, this video is not that good. It's not the dumbest take I've seen, and I'm not really into Bluey to begin with. I just thought that the discussion surrounding it was interesting. To close my response out, I'd like to tell my 3 major points why I don't see Zerex's point of view on why it's weird that adults watch this cartoon. 1. It's not just for kids. It has a lot of adult jokes, characters that can relate to a variety of people, the family breaks the animated parent stereotypes, you name it. It's more comparable to SpongeBob than Peppa Pig if anything. 2. So what if it's just for kids? Children deserve better than Peppa Pig 46 or, God forbid, episode 120 of Skibidi Toilet. This isn't just a good preschool show, especially when compared to Caillou, Dora, or again Peppa Pig. It's a good show, period. If every cartoon was a Bluey, the world would be a better place. It is not ruining YouTube like you claimed Frozen to do or anything like that. And 3. Let me give you just 2 simple words. Age regression. For those of you who don't know, age regression is a coping mechanism which certain people use for fun or as a stress relief by acting younger. Some regress to teens, some to older kids, and some even to the age of an infant. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, so it's like being on a BDL? No, do not compare the two. While it is true that some people regress to the age of a toddler or a baby, it's done in a safe for work manner. A BDL is a fetish. Age regression is not that. It's a simple coping mechanism that is recommended by therapists. Not everyone is into wearing diapers, and those who wear diapers either do it for medical reasons or just wear them out of comfort and don't use them. You'll never have time finding an age regressor who loves using diapers, like going number 2 in them. Needless to say, a lot of regressors watch Bluey. Hey, maybe there are some regressors who like your favorite childhood show, Blue's Clues. Why don't you go find that for yourself, Zerex? Before I go, I want to address how he's actually brought the DVDs and how he's guilt-tripping his audience. Yeah, don't do that. We didn't do anything to you. All we've done is say that we disagree with your takes and find them silly. We're not holding you at gunpoint like, oh, you said something bad about our favorite show. You take that back, or else we're sending you to the great beyond. If you don't want to watch Bluey, don't watch it. Nobody is forcing you to do it but yourself. Watch the show if you want. Make a search for the worst cartoon episodes on it if you want to. But don't put the blame on us. That's all I ask of you. Anyways, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I'll see myself out.